Welcome to the house that Ross built. Before we get started, I'm gonna thank everybody for joining us, people that support us on a consistent basis to pass the word around. Sometimes I'm on here, I forget to say that, I forget to thank you guys, and guys and gals. But definitely, I appreciate you all. Pass the word around. Obviously, we're trying to. We have a mission here. We're trying to educate our community, and every little bit helps. All the support, all the referrals and all that type of stuff helps. So definitely, I appreciate all of that. And then when you're on the podcast, hit a thumbs up, like us, subscribe to the page, so on and so forth. And you can check out all our videos on YouTube. We have social media, all that stuff. So definitely follow us on all platforms. We appreciate that. And today we're going to be talking about the 10 reasons why it's time to get into real estate now. Right. You know that's my background. I'm in real estate. That's my profession. I do other investments, I'm stock and all that type of stuff. But my main thing has been real estate. That's how I got started. So we're gonna go through that, and break down, why it's a good time to get in real estate if you're not already in it, or if you are in it, why is it time to take it to the next level, right? So first, I'm gonna read a couple articles that I came across here lately. One is from Bloomberg. We should often be familiar with Bloomberg if we're in business or thinking about business. If not, subscribe to Bloomberg. They have a lot of great articles and topics and things that talk about business. So this article said, recently, over the last month or so, the house sales have been the lowest in several years, right? So this is just kind of a background to what we're going to be talking about today. So, in several years, we're talking about even up to the point where we had that 2008, 2009 crash. That's what they're referring to, right? So the housing market in the last month or so has been the slowest in the last several years. That's an indicator right there, that things are changing, things are happening. Another article by MoneyWise said the U.S. housing market has 500,000 more sellers, than buyers, the most ever recorded, referenced by Redfin. Redfin is also a trusted site. Something I also used to subscribe to is Redfin. It has a lot of good information, and they're particularly about real estate. So again, I'm gonna read that. The U.S. housing market has 500 more sellers than it has buyers, right? So what does that mean? That means it's a buyer's market, right? If you have more sellers than you have buyers, there's a buyer's market. So the buyer can negotiate the price more, they can get more for their buck, so on and so forth. And again, that's an indicator of why that obviously we're buyers of real estate if you're in real estate, or I'm a buyer of real estate, and anybody else that does real estate is a buyer of real estate. So it's a prime time for us, right? So all right, let me go through the 10 reasons why you should get in now if you're not already in, or why you should take it to the next level if you are already in real estate. Like I just referenced, uh, more sellers than buyers, which creates a buyer's market. That's number one, right? Number two, home prices are steadily declining month after month, and they've been doing that for the last year on a national average. Like I'm in Houston, and they just did a report where we had about 5% increase, which is low, but we still had an increase. So every market is different, right? You might be in DC area; they usually have a pretty good market too. So, but we're talking about nationally. Throughout the whole United States, the average, right? Home prices have been declining. So again, that's again another indicator of why we can get in. And why is that important, right? If prices are declining, that means we can get stuff cheaper, right, than we could in the past. As a real estate investor, you can buy properties for less, right? Again, buyer's market. That means there's more. The buyer has more, basically, negotiating room because there's so many people out there selling their houses, right? So all those are good reasons. Number three, baby boomers are retiring and selling their houses to downsize because of what they because they bought their houses 20, 30 years ago. They bought them basically for nothing. So they have the ability to negotiate with you. Like say they may have bought a house for 50,000, 20 years ago, and now it may be worth 300 or more, right? But because they bought it for such a low price, if they're trying to get rid of it and they know it's a bad market, right, that the market is slowly declining, then you might get that house for 150, 200, because that still means 150, to $200,000 of profit for them. So again, that's the key indicator that, again, now is the time to get in. hard for the average buyer or average person to get a loan. And now, with the all of the requirements as far as credit and so on and so forth, and because so many people are starting to decline or not decline, but they're starting to default on their loans. So it's getting even harder. It's getting harder for an average person to get a loan. What does that mean? They're basically making you go through more to get the loan than you had to do in the past, right? More income verification, more they want you to show, a better credit history, your credit score has to be higher, so on and so forth. Again, perfect recipe for us because when we buy houses, we as investors, we buy them in cash or we use investment loans, and your investment lender, as long as the property is solid, they feel that the value is there, you can get a loan. It doesn't matter about your credit, all that other stuff that traditional lenders require. So that again, that puts us in a better place than the average buyer, right? So that gives us a leg up. Number five, prices for everything are going up. Everybody knows the price of eggs, milk, all that stuff. You hear that stuff on TV all the time. That just not that goods in stores, building products, cars. All those prices are going up, which basically makes people have a hard time month to month paying their bills, right? Because if you're used to paying a certain amount for bills and now you're going out and you have to pay more for groceries, more for items, more for, soap and all these different things that you have to pay more for. Basically that puts you in the red every month comes around because you had a certain budget of what you were paying and now those things are going up. And so with that, the prices are going up, the wages are staying the same, or in some cases they're declining, right? So how does a person, you know, a lot of times when in those type of situations, those type of economies, what people do is they lose their houses, right? Because now they can't afford to pay their mortgage, they can't afford to pay all these other things they've been paying. So either they lose their house in foreclosure, right, or they sell their house to get out of it, and they sell it at a discount. Again, perfect reason for you to start real estate right now. Political unrest. We all know what's going on in society today. It doesn't matter Republican, Democrat, which you are. You can see the writing on the wall. You have a lot of people that are afraid to do anything, buy homes or spend money, so on and so forth, because they're in fear of what's going to happen down the road, right? And that when you have political unrest, that's what that causes, right? And these people that are in politics don't necessarily care about the average person. If they did, then they would make sure that things were profitable, economy was good, so on and so forth. But a lot of times they just care about their buddies and themselves getting rich, not the average person, right? I think I even heard our president say that if we have to go in a recession, that's just what we have to do, right? And that recession it's that's fine sometimes because even when you're in business, right, sometimes you got to take a loss to take a win later, right? But this recession that we're about to go through is not necessarily because of the standard economic reasons to go in a recession. It's more of because you know this cat is trying to basically create a dictatorship. I mean, again, that's my opinion. You can feel how you want to feel about it, but that's the reason why we're going to go in a recession. And not all his fault. We can't blame him for everything because we've been on this cycle in our country for many years now, right? And they just keep putting band-aids on it, keep putting band-aids on it. But his approach is what he's trying to do. Some things are okay that he's trying to do. Downsize the government so we don't have to pay, you know, so many taxes, so on and so forth, for salaries for people that weren't needed, so on and so forth. So some of the things that he's doing are correct, but most of it isn't, right? So the things that he's doing that are correct, he's trying to hide under that to say, I'm doing this, I'm doing that. But really behind the scenes, again, he's trying to make himself and his buddies rich. Yeah, and again, believe what you want. If you read and you're educated enough, you can see that on the wall with him doing Bitcoin and all that. You're the president. Why do you have a Bitcoin? Right? That's a conflict of interest. If you're working with people, or you were, because now he's pissed off at you. Now you guys aren't even working together. Elon Musk, I'm referring to, that he's in the White House and doing all these things, and he's not an elected official. How is that even legal? Right. Anyways, all those are reasons why, that our economy is going to decline, that the houses are going to be on sale, other things are going to be on sale too. Don't get me wrong. The people that have money are going to be able to buy whatever they want, right? And it's going to be everybody else just struggling to make it, right? But that creates opportunity. But with that opportunity, we also can help others, right? Just we're not here to take advantage of because of the situation. We want to be aware of the situation, and we want to be able to profit off the situation. That doesn't mean you take advantage of other folks because of the situation, right? You also have to have a conscience, or you're just as bad as everybody else, right? So let me the seventh, rental market is at an all-time high. So the prices of rental properties have never been more expensive than they are today, right? So if you're buying properties at a discount and you turn around and rent them, and you can, rent them for, top dollar market rate, you can make a lot of profit, especially since you're buying the property, like we always talk about, at a good price, right? So that's another reason why you want to get into real estate right now. Uh, Part of our citizens in this country are leaving this country, or they're being kicked out of this country. So they live in houses, they own houses. Just because you may not have the correct papers, it doesn't mean you can't buy a house. There's a lot of people that are here that don't necessarily have all the paperwork that own houses, right? And then some are just leaving because they're going back to home to their countries because they're just tired and fed up. But all those are opportunities to buy property, right? And because they're trying to get out as soon as possible, or in some cases, their family has to sell it if they've been kicked out. That creates opportunities for prices, of real estate to get a huge discount on those properties. Right. Again, we're not trying to take advantage of people. We're trying to offer a solution that we both can win. Right. Um, Other thing is, when we speak about our generations now, most millennials and younger don't even want to buy a house. They prefer to rent. Right. They want to live in a house, but they don't want to buy it because it ties them down. Right. So again, if you're buying properties at a discount, and you have properties that you can rent out, and you have people that don't necessarily want to buy houses and people that can't afford houses, they can't get a loan. Perfect storm for you to have a great rental market. And the rental market is already great. And that's just going to keep increasing because, again, people aren't going to be able to buy homes, right? That American dream to buy a home is pretty much dead for this younger generation. Okay, so the last one, number 10, money is expensive. So most people can't afford a home with the high interest rates, right? So again, let me say, money is expensive. What does mean money is expensive? Money, when you say money is expensive, it's expensive to borrow. If you have a credit cards now, you're getting 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10% interest rate on it. That makes your money expensive. Before, when times were good, in past years, you could get a credit card with, 3 or 4%. You can get a house with 3 or 4% interest, or sometimes even less, back in 2000, well, let's say just COVID time, I could buy houses at interest rate of 1.25, 2.2%, right? Now we're at, on average, 6, 7, depending on your credit. Some people can get it 5 to have really good credit. So what that does is makes money expensive. When money is expensive, again, that creates more inflation. That creates, bad times for most people, because a lot of people in our country live on credit. They're not taught, how to save money, how to invest money, so on and so forth. And unfortunately, a large part of that is in our own community. So, those are the 10 reasons why now is the time, one of the best times, I believe, that we've seen in many years to get into real estate. I just did a webinar talking about the transformation of wealth in my webinar. And, on my webinar, I'm trying to not only talk about this type of stuff, but actually help people get into real estate. So if you're really interested in getting into real estate, you're not in real estate now, or you're in real estate and you want to build some type, you want to be a part of a community so you can do more, you can buy more, without having to put up all your money, right? You can be a part of our program. And our website for our webinar and our program and our community is www.myfirsthouseflip.com. Again, check it out, www.myfirsthouseflip.com. And we do webinars. Right now we just launched it, so we're probably doing a webinar once a month. But if you get on the website, you can register. We'll send you email blasts, so on and so forth. We'll also, be on here talking about it, promoting it when we are doing a webinar. But get on there and register and check out what we're doing, what we're saying. Because again, if you want to be in real estate and you don't necessarily have all the capital that you would need to be a traditional investor, you can get into the real estate pretty much for under $1,000, right? And that's unheard of. And nobody's really doing what I'm doing on my program. So again, check us out. Hope this is helpful. And also, like I said, if you have questions about anything we say, you can get on our platforms, text or, make a comment, DM, whatever way you can get a hold of me, you can do that because I'm accessible. Right. And even through our webinar, if you get on our webinar, you can ask questions on there. Right. So, again, I'm making this path and our mission, I'm making it easily accessible for everybody that really is determined to make a better future for themselves and their family. All right, so that's pretty much it for today. That's what we're going to talk about. We kept it short and sweet. Again, appreciate everybody for joining us. Continue to support us, so on and so forth, and definitely it'll be a benefit for everybody. So, peace.